now is a joyful time for many people, but mental health charity Mind is warning that it can be difficult and stressful for others. Mind says that the trauma of coronavirus may mean that many people want to skip Christmas entirely this year. The pandemic has strained lots of people and professions. It may have been especially tough for people who work in giving or services roles. I'm talking about occupations like carers, nurses, counsellors or teachers. When your life revolves around caring for others, it can be hard to make time for yourself. Here with advice on how to look after number one this Christmas, what a delight to be joined by psychotherapist and counsellor Lina Mookerjee. Hi Lina, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Owen, and thanks for asking me to be back on the show. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking to us. Lots of people find themselves in a situation where Christmas isn't as joyful as it should be. What do you recommend to help them cope with the extra stress?
Well, first of all, as I always said, and I've said over the whole year really, Owen, is to acknowledge how you're feeling, because how you're feeling is what's real, and to sort of be told, oh, cheer up and don't worry, it's not so bad, is probably the worst thing that can be said. So first of all, acknowledging how you're feeling, name it, and if you're feeling a bit down, it's okay to be down, and it passes. And that's the big thing when with emotions, is that when we can name it, acknowledge it, it does start to pass. And who knows, there may just be a sense of neutrality, which brings a sense of balance, and that, I think, is what we're hoping for. If we can get that, that can go a long way.
There'll be lots of people, particularly in those professions I was just talking about, carers, teachers, counsellors, and people in giving professions, and they've had their foot on the gas for so long. They've been flat out since March, and now they come to a point where they're going to have hopefully a bit of a break and a bit of a pause, but that can be quite bewildering too. So what's your suggestion there?
Absolutely. The word titration comes up, Owen. To completely stop is probably the unwise thing to do. I've been there and I've done it, and it doesn't help. And I've worked with a lot of people in that way. But if you titrate it down, so you break down the amount of stopping, so you cut down your hours over a number of days, can really help. And acknowledge that actually it's going to take time. As you were saying, this year has been incredibly hard from my experience and my colleagues. You can't just stop. The adrenaline's been pumping, the sense of care and tiredness. So there's going to be some repercussions of perhaps your sleeping cycles may be a bit strange. Your adrenaline's still pumping, so getting some fresh air, getting some exercise, slightly changing your routine, but do it slowly and over a number of days will help.
What have you learned from your practice? Because obviously you're speaking to people who are suffering, who need help, and what lessons have you taken from that?
Oh gosh, honesty. I think the big thing for me, and I'm writing about this, Owen, is what I call the rescuer in recovery. When you're in a role of giving, and I am as a carer to Richard, my husband, and also as a counsellor and teacher, and I do lots of things, it's very easy to get almost on a roll to keep giving, and you forget that actually what's happening to my own batteries. So working with clients, it's been incredibly humbling to hear their story, to reflect back, hang on a minute, what am I doing? And recognising, hang on, I need to take heed of what I'm supporting. I don't tell people what to do, but certainly to acknowledge my vulnerability. I'm vulnerable too. I'm hearing stories that are very, very painful and very distressing, and that affects my nervous system. So being able to take time out, acknowledge vulnerability, get good supervision. I have a very good supervisor, and own it, and not try to be Miss Perfect, because that's impossible. I've been there.
There are people who will be gathering with their family and are lucky enough to be able to do that, and they might come across people who are experiencing these stresses that you're talking about. If I see someone in my family going through that, what are the warning signs? What should I watch out for?
Okay, warning signs are fatigue, repeating the same story. You'll often hear if there's distress, there's a repeat of a narrative, a story, a theme, forgetfulness, indigestion, withdrawal, irritability, not really wanting to engage, but also the other way of almost talking too much, that they're not actually talking to you. That there's a sense of they're not being there, not very present, although they may physically be there. So those are the signs that actually something's not quite right. But often it's the talking a lot of the same story.
We've not got long, Lina, just 20 seconds. How are you celebrating Christmas?
Oh, I tell you, walking by the sea, getting a break and some quiet and solitude for me would be fantastic.
Well, Merry Christmas to you and Richard. Thank you for speaking to us today and hope to talk again soon.
Lovely, and to all the team, to you too, my love.
Thanks, Lina. We'll be back in just a minute with Glad Tidings.